Hi everyone, welcome. Oh, I finally got Wirecast to work. It was telling me that it wasn't going to work for the last 5 minutes, and I kept pressing the stream button, and it looks like we are live. Okay, let me know you can hear me and see me, and I'm going to check YouTube also because I should be streaming live on YouTube. Let me see if it's live. Yes. Okay. So for those of you who are watching in Crowdcast, welcome. For those of you who are watching in YouTube Live, welcome. If you want to join the creative conversation here on Crowdcast, please make sure to join us. You can, let's see, I actually turned... I'll put the link in here if you're watching on YouTube and you want to join us. Let's see. So if you want to chat, you should be able to get there from here. Okay. So I'm going to check what it looks like in here. Yay, great picture today. Awesome. So this is the difference of broadcasting in YouTube versus Crowdcast. So I'm so happy it was working because it was like telling me I was getting the big red X or like cross sign, that stop sign. And then I tried to configure it a little bit differently. So I think we're good to go. So thank you everybody who's joining me live. I know it's a Friday, so there's probably a lot of people who are at work. And so if you're watching this in the replay, welcome also. I am excited that you all are here. I am Tracy Bautista. For those of you who are new to me, I sometimes forget that I have new people who've just found me, and you might have seen my work on Instagram or through YouTube. So welcome. Yesterday I did a presentation. So if you want to know more about what I do and where I have been and my journey, you can watch yesterday's live stream. So for those of you, since I can finally navigate and show you my screen and everything's nice and clear, I'm just going to do a little housekeeping really quick and then dive in. So let's see. Let me just switch to, let me pause this really quick. And then I'm going to switch over. So for those of you who are watching in here, and that, let me just get that X, let me click out of that. Okay, so if you want to change the settings, it should be automatically broadcasting in 1080. You can actually change this. If you are having stream issues, you can change it right at the bottom here under quality, and that will give you a menu to choose. So if you, oh, I forgot to turn off my phone. Sorry. So if that is going to be helpful, definitely. If you see, you don't hear anything or you don't see a picture, just refresh your whole browser. Turn off anything that's syncing, like if you have Dropbox syncing or if you have a bunch of other programs open. That will help you if you're on the desktop. If you're on the app, close out all your other apps and just keep either Crowdcast open or watch it in the browser, and that should help your broadcast quite a bit. So let's see, is there anything else? On the right side, there is chat. So everybody has found that. And then underneath the video, you'll see a little call to action button. So if you are interested and want to find out more details about my new digitalCANVAS 3.0 online program, then make sure you click on that, and that will take you over to a page on my site that just gives you an overview of everything that is in the class. So when you read through that, definitely if you click into the descriptions, then you'll see the actual program information. So if you click on here, that will give you the actual creative itinerary. So this is I wanted to show this really quickly because sometimes people don't realize that there are other tabs here that tell you more information. So that will tell you exactly what's happening in the class. Okay, so back to here. Underneath, you can ask a question, and I have this one question that I will answer in a little bit. So if you have another question, definitely put it under here so I can see it. Sometimes they get lost if you don't put them underneath the video. So that is if you're watching on the computer. Oh, one other thing, let me just show you. You can also click up here, schedule, click more, and then this will take you to all of the different videos and or live stream replays and upcoming live streams. So Saturday, tomorrow I'm going to do another 1 hour presentation, and I'm going to be talking about creating a digital inspiration sketchbook in your daily creative practice. So I'll be sharing some samples and flipping through my sketchbooks and talking a little bit more about how I approach the digital canvas. And then there's just a few other live events before registration closes. So we are in this pop-up right here. So you just press less. And then I also gave a quick kind of demo yesterday on how you navigate on the iPad and in the app, because it is a little bit different. So if you watch yesterday's video, you can see that. So welcome, Elaine, Shell, Lorraine, Mary, Cheryl. Great to have you all with me. For those of you who are lurking in the background there too, welcome. I'm so glad you're joining me today. I am going to be, let me turn off my app on my phone so it doesn't take up too much space. I'm going to be today painting and actually doing a little bit of digital painting and sketching, and then also doing some actual traditional painting. So I wanted to kind of give you a taste of what you can expect in this program. I covered a lot yesterday. I also talked about the modules, so definitely go back to yesterday's live stream if you missed it, because I dove deeper into what we'll be covering each week of the online program, and I'm super excited about this program. It is one of my favorite topics because I am trained as a graphic designer, and I've done digital artwork for over 25 years. So I really love working digitally, not only on my iPad, but on the computer also. So I'm going to be sharing some techniques that I use the iPad for and my journal. So let me just kind of clear off. I was doing yesterday's live stream, and so I have some of that stuff left over on my table. Okay. Good. I'm so glad that the picture is much better. And if you didn't see my first announcement, I had asked everybody to say hi, let us know where in the world you are, and then also to share your favorite 3 mixed media supplies. I know it's hard to narrow it down to 3, but I'm always curious to see what everybody says. If I had to pick 3, I would definitely say some kind of watercolor or acrylic paint. I would probably take my own paints with me. And then I would take probably see, the thing is, if you were stuck on an island, if you thought about like what you would take with you, there's so many things you can make that you could take something else. So like I'm thinking about like if I found sticks and twigs, I could actually just paint and make brushes. So I would probably take maybe a brush, but there's so many other tools that if I needed to swap that out for something else, definitely I'm looking around all my supplies, and I love my dip pens. So I would probably take one of these even though I probably could make something that was similar out of a stick. So I don't know, maybe we'll see. And then I don't know what my third one would be. Maybe some type of like collage page, like glue, or that's so hard to narrow it down to 3. Let's see. Susan says my iPad, jelly plate, and stamps. Nice. And see, stamps you could actually make too. If you are familiar with my third book, Printmaking Unleashed, actually all my books have examples of how you can create your own handmade stamps and stencils in them. Let's see. Diane said, loving acrylic inks and gel pens. Those are always fun. Thanks, Susan. She said, these gatherings are so fun and informative. My favorite 3, she says, watercolors, fountain pen, and ink. Nice. Thanks, Elaine. You guys are so sweet. I'm glad that you enjoy my classes. Let's see. Elaine said, jelly plate. Yeah. Acrylic paint and various tools to work on the plate. Nice. Anybody else? Mary, watercolors and pens. Cheryl says paints, inks, and water brushes. Yes, water brushes are definitely good for sure. That actually is a great tool, especially for travel. Like if you could only take one brush for traveling with you, I would take a water brush, because sometimes you don't have a water source, and that is a great tool, especially if you're going to take watercolors with you, or water soluble pencils like Derwent ink tints or art bars and things like that, because you can turn anything into a watercolor. So that definitely, those would be on my list too. And I would definitely take my iPad. So I guess that would be one of my supplies, because the iPad would allow me to work digitally, but also send email if I had Wi-Fi and do a bunch of other things. So I guess it depends too, because like if you could only take 3 supplies and then you could take your iPad, you could potentially order a bunch of stuff on Amazon.com if you had Prime and get it shipped to you. So there's so many variables there. Okay, I'm going to turn my computer down, and my camera down, and let me just get my iPad up and open to Procreate. And okay. My my dad's so cute. He just sent me a text. My nieces are on spring break this week, so they are trying to log in and watch the live event. So hopefully they found it. If you're here, say hi. Let me just make sure everybody's in the right space. I'm gonna I forgot to move everybody over here. Okay. I think we had some lingering into the other sessions. So let's see. Welcome for those of you who just joined. I just pulled everybody. So if you're watching something else, you might notice that you're now seeing me live. So welcome. And I was just doing a little bit of housekeeping, and we are live from my studio, and I'm going to be doing some painting and sketching and some drawing today, and actually painting in both my digital and my traditional art journal. So is anybody else painting? I saw Lorraine's watercolor, Lorraine's message, watercolors, paper, and pastels. Nice. Okay. Yeah, paper would be key if you were somewhere where you were deserted. But I didn't say that in my initial ask. So the one nice thing is that you could actually get paper anywhere. So let's see. Okay, I am going to show you my screen, and my table, and I will be right back. Okay, let's see how that looks. Let me just make sure that it is in focus. Okay, and I think we are all good. Okay, I'm gonna turn on one of my other studio lights really quick because it looks a little dark. It's kind of overcast today because it's raining, so I think that maybe this might help a little bit. I have a couple of big studio lights that I keep inside here for when I'm filming videos, and yeah, that looks better. And doing live streams, because normally I will just keep the windows drawn or open so that I can have natural light, but sometimes you need the artificial light. Okay, so I have Procreate open, and then I'm actually going to show you a little bit about how I approach my creative practice in general, and how I brainstorm ideas. So there's a couple of ways that I do this. There are times when I will just like paint an actual canvas inside Procreate, and then there's other times where I actually will sketch out ideas and do thumbnails first, and that's one of the ways that I teach. It's one of the lessons that I teach in my Creative Soul Visionary program. That is a program I run once a year. That's all about finding and really honing in on your artistic voice and your creative process. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how you can use an app like Procreate to do that, to do some of that pre-work for, before you decide to paint on canvas. I'm showing you that because this series of work that I've been doing, this is kind of more of an abstract play. I'm looking for, here it is, digital canvas. I've got to find, that's not it. It might be on this particular canvas and on a different layer. I tend to paint when I'm painting kind of similar how I paint if I'm actually just painting like a bunch of papers. I'll paint a lot of starts and like things at once. So you can also do that in Procreate, and I do that by adding new layers. So that first canvas that I showed you, if I click on it, you'll see all these layers that I have in here. So I was looking to see for another painting that I had, this particular painting. I can't remember where it is so I thought it was in this one. Actually, it might be. Oh no, this is on here already. So you can see like I'll paint various layers to kind of just practice some of my mark making, and then stack them on top of each other. So I'm just dissecting that particular painting so you could see what it looked like before I turned everything off. And then I'll play with color palettes in there. So this uses a lot of my own graffiti brushes and stencils that I've designed for Procreate. And you can see lots of texture and lots of layers in these canvases. So one of the things that I like to do when I start a project is I'm going to go back and create a brand new canvas, and I'm going to work in this one. Like I said yesterday, I tend to work a lot in 8.5 by 11 at 300 DPI, because if I want to print it professionally, then I won't have any problems with any kind of bad resolution. So 300 DPI is the minimum for if you're getting it printed professionally. But if you're just doing this for your own work, you can keep it at a lower resolution. So I open up a new canvas, and one of the things that I like to do, and this is something I learned in design school, is creating thumbnails and kind of sketching out ideas. And these aren't going to be always in my final work in what I do, but it is a great way to kind of do a big brainstorm, a visual brainstorm of ideas and just things that I may want to incorporate into my next body of work or my new series or collection of work that I'm working on. So I am just looking to see what pen I want to draw with. And let's see. Maybe we'll try the technical pen and see how that goes. So I'm just going to draw in like a dark, almost black color. And this is my kind of ideation stage where I am going to just make some thumbnails and just play with my, I'm trying to put these in order, and play with some of the ideas that I have floating in my head. Oh, there's my little nieces. Hi, Goosey. Hi, Nux. They're like I said, they're on spring break. So I told them that I was going to be live online today, and they're running errands with Poppy and doing Meals on Wheels. So they said they'd watch in the car. So one of the things, like I said, let me just clean off this. I need to actually clean off my iPad. I don't know if you can see all those fingerprints. So one of the things I do is start with thumbnails. And like I said, it is a nice and easy way. You could do this nice and pretty if you wanted and actually create a template for yourself, but I usually do this. I should create a little template. I think that would actually be a good idea, because you could draw straight lines in here, but I like kind of the rough and rawness of just drawing this way, where I'm just creating my own little squares. And then this is where I'm going to play with materials and ideas for what I might want to do on my canvas. So, you know, I could change color. I could choose, maybe in my next set of work, I really want to work with some either crayons or charcoal, and I can kind of mimic some of those designs and just kind of do at a smaller scale just some ideas of what the composition might be of a particular piece, what the color palette might be. So, you know, I may go in and kind of change different colors just to see like how they might work. So, you know, working kind of at this small scale really quickly, this is something that you do in maybe 10, 15 minutes, and you make these really quick sketches playing with the ideas that you have and maybe some of the colors that you might want to explore and create with. And I like to I don't start all my projects like this, but if I'm doing something that's based on a theme or an idea, I definitely will do this kind of work where I am kind of just brainstorming visually some of the motifs I might want to use, some of the tools that I may want to experiment with, and then I also make notes to kind of remind me like what it is I used. And it's a lot easier to do this also when like I'm trying to talk and draw with you at the same time. So if you're doing this on your own, setting up your timer on your phone is a great way to kind of keep yourself on track. And, you know, just let yourself experiment and play with different marks and different lines, and use this time to just get all of those ideas that are in your head out on the canvas. And, you know, maybe in your next project, you're doing something that has a theme based on, you know, some kind of theme, and you want to incorporate some writing in there. That line is a little too large, so I'm going to bring it down. And you do some kind of graffiti kind of scribbles in there. Maybe you end up wanting to incorporate some type of floral shape. And like, these are just really quick sketches. Nothing too fancy. I'm going to change this back. I want to use the, I'll use this brush, ink brush. And like I said too, if you forget what brush you've used, if you can't remember, definitely make notes so that you can remember what it is that you use to create the piece. So like here, if I go back and do the technical pen just so I can write my notes, and I forget what that thing is called. I think it's Gensiski. Gesinski. Gesinski. I think that's it. But, you know, you can also make notes about, like, I'll sometimes write like floral shapes, or this whole brainstorming process might also remind me of something else that I want to experiment with or explore. So then I'll write those notes in here too. Let's see. And then you can take this and kind of make it into a larger scale. So you can then take another layer. So what I do is create a new layer, and then I would hide this layer, and that way I always have it to reference later if I want to go back and, you know, see what else there's something that I left off. So I'm going to hide this. Let me just look at one of these sketches really quick, and then I'm going to take that and going to make it on a larger scale. And let's see, I want some painting brushes. I'm going to let's use the Nico roll. That's like one of my default brushes. So then I think about what I just created in those little thumbnails, and then start to just play with it a little bit, that idea, and play with it a little bit larger. Maybe I go change the color a little bit. And right now I'm doing, you know, more of this abstract mark making work, and really experimenting with the color palettes that I may want to work with for this particular series of work. Let's see if I go to a damp brush, what happens. So you kind of get that transparent mix of color with what's underneath. That's kind of pretty. And then I can press harder and get a really dark kind of green color. And these lighter marks are because I'm holding the Apple Pencil very lightly. Then I can go back and maybe use my Gesinski. Where is that guy? there it is, ink. And bring the brush size up a little bit, and let's see what happens if I do that. So pressing really hard to make a larger line, and then making a really thin line by just letting the pressure release. So, you know, while I'm kind of trying to remember what I sketched before, I'm not copying it exactly. So those sketches underneath are just a way to really get some ideas out on the paper. So how many of you have worked on the on making thumbnails for your work? Shell says, I hate the fact Procreate is for right-handed people. No, oh, you know what? So, Shells, you can go into, and this is for everybody else, if you go into settings, preferences, you can turn it to a right-hand interface or a left-hand interface. So you can move this size. This you can't move, obviously, but you can move the up and down thing if you want to. Like if you are holding with your left hand and you want to at least use these functions on the right side, you can change there. That's in the actions panel under preferences. So I'm going to go back to my left hand side here. So that's one thing you can do, but I don't think these move. That's the only thing. The only time they move is if you turn this the other way. Okay. And let's see, where do we find this course to log in order to check our progress and get your fab brushes? Oh, well, the class hasn't started yet, Shells. So you can't log in anywhere yet. It doesn't start until April. For those of you who signed up, and I mentioned it a couple of times in the previous live streams and via email, that you will be getting the information for class starting next week. So the class actually doesn't start until April 2nd. So you haven't missed anything. And that will also give you information on, where the brushes, how you can download the brushes. And I'll be sharing more about that coming up. Let me just, my microphone changed for some reason. Let me just make sure it's the right mic. Okay, I think we're good now. Okay, so back to, let's see how we doing on time, 12:50. Back to my canvas here. I'm gonna go over here and maybe add a few more lines. And then if I want to keep working on this one canvas, but I want to keep building layers on it, because now if I wanted to make edits, like I couldn't really edit much on this layer. If I wanted to change this, I should have put this on another layer, but I'm fine with it on this layer. So when we are in class, I'm going to talk a lot more about how to use layers effectively so that you can go back and actually edit your pieces if you need to. And the one great thing about using layers is that when you do, you can actually take what's on separate layers and export those by themselves. So that really helps if you want to just save a portion of the painting, or if you want to create your own digital brushes that are just from a particular layer in the painting. And then it also, again, lets you edit just a portion of what you've created. So the key to working in Procreate is really to continue to build your piece out working with layers. So now I'm going to, let's see, let me take one of my floral, trying to decide. No, maybe I'll do one of my printmaking plates. So some of these brushes will be available in the course. You'll get a set that is exclusive to the course, and some of these actually are going to also be available in my digital shop starting in April. So for those of you who are patiently waiting for those to arrive, they are coming soon. So I have a bunch of brushes that I've created, and I like to call them printmaking plates because that's what they really remind me of. They are really textured. A lot of them have different images, so you can see how it reveals as you paint with them. And they are different every time you use them. So they're very, I guess, what's the right word? Serendipitous, maybe? You'll never kind of know exactly what you're going to get. So that's the fun of it. Every time you color and move, it actually changes the orientation of the brush. But if you were to just color a whole page, you would see what the design looks like. But the beauty of these brushes is that they're made to kind of add these spot printmaking pieces all over your canvas. And so we'll be talking more about creating brushes in, I think it's module 3 or 4. I can't remember. I have to look at the schedule again. And one of the things I really love to work with is adding a nice contrast over areas. So you'll see I'll start with the dark, and then I keep adding different things on top of it to kind of lighten up and add that contrast. So like I'm covering those other lines that I created back there, which is fine. If I wanted to try and move some of those, I could, just to see what happens if I kind of move this around. But I kind of like where it's at. So if I wanted to add those lines back in, I could later maybe add them on a different layer. So that's one of the benefits. Like I wish I would have put those on a separate layer, and I might be able to grab them. Let's see. I don't know. I might be able to actually. So one of the things you can do is actually select. Oh no. Wait. Oh wait. I'm on the wrong layer. Let's go to layer 2. And then I'm going to select with the selection tool. I hit automatic, and then it should just select, no, let's see. Sometimes it's really temperamental. I wonder if it'll let me. No, I think it's going to select all of that color. Let's see what it selected. So if I'm just going to copy that layer. So if you want to copy and paste, you use 3 fingers, swipe down, and then I am going to copy and paste. So I just want to see what it copied, and it'll put it on its own layer. I think that it probably copied almost all of it. Yeah, it wouldn't let me. Let's see. Yeah, it did copy most of it. So that's not what I wanted. But at least you get to see the copy and paste function. I wanted to select these, and I could go in there, but I need more time to actually go and just select this one color. So I could do it. Let me see if I do it with the threshold like less. Okay, yeah, it's not going to let me right now anyways. So again, that's one of the benefits of working in multiple layers, so that you can change and move things as you go. Let's see. Diane said, oh yeah, I will look at that question right now. see. Let me answer. Tracy. Tracy, I signed up for Digital 3. Awesome. Thank you, Diane. And received an email receipt, but that was all. Yes, and that is exactly what you should have received. I will be sending out the additional information starting next week. So you haven't missed anything, but you get a confirmation email that tells you. And yes, you have to not check. You cannot. So if you signed up for any of my classes or if you buy any products on my site and you want to know the status, or especially for classes, if you want to get the information on the class, you have to make sure that you have not checked no marketing, because if you check no marketing, you get no email. And that my email system is automated, so it automatically puts you on a do not mail list when you put that. So if you did that, I saw your email, Diane, this morning, so I will email you back, so don't worry about it, and we'll get you on the list so that you don't miss anything. I don't check DMs on Facebook, so I just saw that, but I think that you emailed me on my website. Sorry about that. I am not on Facebook very often, so it's not the best way to contact me, but definitely through email, my business email, it is. So we'll get you all situated. But yes, if anybody ever orders anything, if you want to know like order status and you just have chose the no marketing option, then you will not get any emails from my system. It's just the way the privacy laws are. So if that happened to you and you're on a no marketing list, just make sure to email me and we'll get it all taken care of. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so back to this. So now I've got this fun little canvas. I'm going to take maybe one more of my brushes and just add a little bit of let me just add another layer just in case I want to make some changes to this one. Try not to cover my other one too much. Maybe change the color just a bit. And you can see this is another one of my printmaking plates. So it really mimics the use of like actually printing with a jelly plate. And I have a bunch of brushes that I designed like this where they are really fun because you can use them like in this fashion. So let me hide these layers really quick and I'll show you. So if I draw large on this background like so, you can see how that creates. So it's got a lot of texture, a lot of scribbles, this particular brush does, and you get kind of that distressed look. And then I can add more on top of that. And then the other thing that is great about these is that then you can actually make it a really small brush and do some writing with it too, and it will be a bit of a textured, and it'll jump and skip, so it's kind of this variegated line. So if you want that kind of look in your text, in kind of a really kind of distressed graffiti look, then these brushes are fun just to do, scribbling with in the background. Like you're gonna not see the whole letter, and that's purposely made like that. And that's what most of my the big printmaking plates do, and also my graffiti brushes that I've created. Let's see. Susan says, do the ones in your shop work like this, the ones you have now? So the ones I have now, no, they don't. Because I actually created those when I launched my first digital canvas class in 2013. 2012, and those are, you can actually use those as masks, but in a different way. So if you are part of the class, or if you're actually part of this class, you'll be able to see some of those videos from, you'll be able to access those videos from Digital Canvas 1 and 2, and see how those printmaking plates are made, or how they're made to be used. But all of the stuff that's in my shop right now, those are things that I designed prior to the new Procreate 4.2 coming out. So in April, when I do my big launch for the brushes, the new brushes will be in there. Okay, so that is a little bit about kind of taking your idea and making it into a kind of thumbnail canvas. I'm going to put this on top of here. I'm moving layers. Oops, I don't want to create a new group, but let's see. But I wanted that on top of there. So that, and then I want this. Let me see what this looks on top, on the very top. I turn that on. So that's another fun thing about working in Procreate or any digital program, and when you use layers. So now I can move all of those different layers around, and now the painting looks completely different. I mean, somewhat the same, but now you can actually see like my little streaks. So I actually like that better, bringing this on top. And then you get to see some of that other printmaking in the back. So now I'm going to show you what I do to kind of take this idea, and I can print this. So I'm going to send this to my printer. So what I'm going to do is share it. So up here, you just press share, and then I'm saving it as I'm going to save it as a JPEG for now. And so I'm going to save it as an image, and then it will show up in my photos. And then I'm going to take that and print it to my printer, and I'll show you the print in a minute. Let me just bring up that picture. And so now this is in photos, and now I'm going to take it and just press that arrow up button. Let me hit cancel because I don't know if you saw that. So for those of you who are not familiar with how to print from your iPad, if you have a wireless printer, this will work. If you don't, then it won't work. But now you press that arrow up, press print. My printer is going to come up, and then I can choose color or black and white, and it is a letter size, so everything's good. And then I can print that. So I do this quite a bit when I have these sketches. And actually, I'm going to, oops, I don't want to delete the photo. I want to go back to Procreate. So in Procreate, then I could also actually turn off some of these other layers, and I could print this. This would actually be fun, like collage sheet, if I continued to fill it up. But I can also go back and print out my sketches if I want to. So then I can pin these up on my board and look at them. Or you can keep them in here digitally if you don't want to have all this extra paper lying around. So I'm just going to go grab that print really quick. And so you can see the benefits of working with layers. I'm going to turn off that group because I accidentally created that group. Okay, let me go grab that print. Hi, Missy. Indy is following me around. My little puppy. Oh, I forgot to turn off the sketches back there. There we go. I actually like the sketches back there though too. It's kind of fun. And then here's my print of what I just created. So like I said, I could pin this up on my inspiration wall, and that way I have a reference of what of the ideas that I have. And so now I could take this and then grab my art journal and play for a little bit. So what time is it? We started a little bit late. I'm going to probably paint. These pop-up sessions were supposed to be only for 30 minutes. So for those of you who are still here, thank you for staying on. So you are more than welcome. If you need to leave, you can always come back and watch the replay. I'm going to move my painted background out of here just so that I don't get more paint on here. This is a project I painted. These are probably, gosh, like 5 or 6 years old. So I have them hanging in my studio. They're muslin, just painted with different acrylic paints. And I usually take these and turn them into journal covers. I'll stitch them together, but I have tons of paid-in fabrics and papers, and some of these are probably samples from classes that I created. But they make great like background shots for when I'm painting on the iPad. So you'll see these kind of cycle through my videos. So one note, if you're filming videos, creating something like this is helpful if you want to have like a nice background. And this is actually all from leftover paint. Like, I didn't think about what was happening when I was actually painting these. I just took whatever was left on my palette and started making marks on them. And that's an exercise that I always have students do in my classes, is before we clean up, is to use all the leftover paint so they don't waste it. And it goes on either paper or fabric. And some of those pieces are their most favorite, because when you do exercises like that, it really encourages you to not think about exactly what you're doing, or it forces you to just put color down on paper. So I was going to use one of my art journals, but I think I'll just use one of my mixed media pads, because look, this is like similar colors. Because it's out and it has a little bit more space. So now you get to see my dirty studio table. And I think I may actually bring the lighting up a little bit. Pila said, wow, what kind of printer do you use? Thanks. Let's see. It is it's really dark. Hold on. Let me just bring up the lighting in the camera really quick before I forget. There. That's better. And I even have, let me just move my other studio light over here too. That might work a little better. Yesterday I talked about it in our live stream. It is a HP, let me tell you what the number is. I have to bring it up on my iPad because I can't remember the actual numbers. It came up, if you rewind this video, you'll be able to see it when I sent it to the printer, but I can tell you. Let me just send something else to the printer really quick so that you can see it. To print. It's an HP Color Laser Jet, M as in Mary, F as in Frank, P as in Paul. And then it says M as in Mary, 281 FDW. And I can't remember, the guy told me FDW, I think that's like fax duplex Wi-Fi. I think that's what the FDW, because there's like different different letters. So it is awesome. Yesterday I showed a couple of pieces that I printed, and you see how fast it is. So it is a laser printer. One of the lessons in Module 5, well, we're going to be actually in, I think it's Module 2, creating our own collage papers. Or not Module 2, I should get the actual right modules out. I think it's like Module 3. It's the graffiti backgrounds module. And then in Module 6, our last module, it's all about cut and paste collage. We're actually going to be creating digital transfers. So I'm going to do a whole lesson on how to take your paintings that you create and print them and actually transfer them into your journal. So a little bit of traditional combined with the digital there. And I still think that this is really dark. How's that look in the computer? Does it look dark to you all? It seems darker than normal. And I've got like 3 huge studio lights on. Let's see. Something is going on with the... Let me do... Oh, actually, let me do a little focus too. It might be there. I think it's just because there's white paper. Let me just do a quick focus on there. There we go. Okay. So hopefully that is good for now. You're welcome. Yeah, I know. It does seem a little dark. And let me just wipe off the camera lens really quick. I don't know if that's... I mean, it's brand new. It might be from just moving it around. I just feel like there's like a fog on the... Hold on. Let me see if, I think I think there's a plastic over it. That's funny. Well, I can't remove it right now. I'll do it later. But I think you'll still be able to see it. Yeah, a little smoggy. Okay, hold on. I just noticed let me see if this thing will come off. It might be too that might... Well, no, that's not even on there. That's weird. I think it's just because there, let me just put my hands there because then you can see it. I think it's just because it's like super white, that paper, and it's turning gray. So let's just keep my hands here for a minute and then it won't look so foggy. So now if I think about like what I just did on the canvas and how I could translate that here, even though I did it as 8.5 by 11 this way, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to paint it in here this way because it fills up more of the screen and you'll be able to see it a little bit better. So I'm just kind of rotating it for my, for the camera. I like your guys' descriptions. That's funny. So I am starting out just doing kind of what I did on the canvas, but using traditional graphite. So yesterday I showed you, I think it's the charcoal. It's one of the charcoal brushes that gives you this same effect using a block. So like what I said, when you're using a block, if you use the side, you get that nice dark, thick kind of square line. But then if you use just the corner, the tip of it, that's where you can really get some more fine detail. So a lot of what I do digitally definitely translates to, what I create on the canvas. So I'm taking out some charcoal pencils, and these are the charcoal, the tinted charcoal by Derwent. These are some of my favorite. They're water soluble, and when you take a brush and put water to them, like I'm about to do, let's just grab this one because I think I'm going to put a little bit of there's paint in there. Oh, there's a little paint in this one. We'll see. It's got a little purple. So I can take my brush too and just kind of get that, move that tinted charcoal around too, even though you're not really seeing the tint so much because I had watercolor on that brush. You can see I don't clean my brushes always that great, but I'm gonna take, let's see, do I want to use ink? Maybe I'll do a little ink and watercolor in there. Let me grab one of my little palettes. I've got like 5, 6, actually 1, 2, 3, 4. There's like 10 10 palettes over here on the side. And you'll notice like I don't clean my palettes that often because all of this is water media. There are either my inks or watercolors in there. And then when I use them, let me get a paper towel. When I re-wet them, they reactivate, which is nice. So that way you don't have to waste any of your paints. So I'm just going to take and put a little bit of color in here. I could actually get that stencil look that I did in my digital canvas by using one of my stencils. So this is one of my Stencil Girl stencils that I cut apart. And so that gives you kind of that printmaking look. And let me see if I have a brayer handy. Anytime I use stencils, I always turn them over and do a print on the other side. So that's what my digital brushes mimic. They're mimicking this idea of the stenciling that I do in my mixed media paintings, and how when I create these backgrounds on paper. And then I'm going to take some of my handmade watercolors and just paint some of these in there too. So a couple years ago, if any of you are new, I launched my handmade paint and ink line, and it's been so much fun to develop and create. I love color, and it's something that since I was little, I was always able to kind of mix color and create really easily. Like I could look at a color and just see it on a swatch of it, and I could actually recreate it with colored pencils. And it is something that just kind of came naturally to me. And so now I've taken that and really used that to, it really does inform the way that I work on my canvases, but also just making paint. There's a lot of color that you need to know about to make paint. I mean, anybody can make paint. It's easy. It's a binder with pigments, and you mull it together. But to get paint and to make colors is a whole nother skill, to make colors that, that are, and all the colors I make are mixed. So these are not one pigment colors. That's just something that is different from a lot of paint makers out there. And I love a lot of different handmade paint makers, but some of them, they all do single pigment paints. And there are a handful that I've seen that are starting to do more multi-color paints, but it's something that I love, and that's what my line specializes in. So you're seeing me kind of mimic what I just did on that canvas using a round brush, and that's kind of what that Gasinski brush is. It allows you to make these kinds of marks similar to what I just did on the canvas. So if you take a round brush and press harder, you'll see it gets wider. If you lighten up your pressure, you can just paint with the tip of it and you get a nice skinny line. So when you're approaching the digital canvas, having the knowledge of what different brushes do will definitely help you when you're painting digitally, because if you're not familiar with how a round brush works and how a flat brush works, and it's easy to learn. A flat brush is square, a round brush is round. But if you don't know what those marks look like, it'll just take you a little bit longer to remember like what works with what different brushes on in Procreate look like versus using, a traditional brush. And it's something that the more and more you play with the brushes that are inside the program, and also play with brushes traditionally, you'll get more familiar about how they work together. So one of the things I teach in my floral painting classes is that when you are painting florals, there's all kinds of different ways you can do it. But one of the fun ways, like I'm just going to flip this really quick. One of the fun ways with a round brush is that you can actually just take your brush, and I didn't clean it, so it's got a lot of different paint colors in it, which is kind of fun. There's a little bit of blue and pink and purple, But, you know, rolling it like so and seeing like what kind of marks it makes is going to help you as you continue your painting journey. So there's so many different ways you can use a brush, and painting like this where you're just rolling it, where you might be like just tapping it, you can make, you know, a bunch of different types of marks and flowers. So doing this with traditional paints and inks and then doing this in Procreate will really help you understand how all of the different brushes and materials work together. So you can see just with one brush, I get that variety of line. And so when you work, I encourage you to do just that. Kind of play with your tools to experiment. You know, don't worry about creating masterpieces. You know, what happens if you take a brush and put a little ink and you swipe it? You get a whole nother type of look. And all of this play, like these things, now that I have them on here, I can take all of this, all these mark making, and actually create some really cool Procreate brushes with them. And so we're going to be doing that in one of the modules where we actually paint and then turn these into our own textures and brushes. And then we're also going to actually just paint on the iPad and turn those into different brushes and print in printmaking plates. So just going back, like this is not done at all, but it's a start. And actually right now to me, it almost looks like two paintings. Like I think I would probably chop this in half and make two small paintings out of it. But you can see how this, just some of my pre-work in Procreate has kind of, you know, guided the way to some of the mark making and some of the printmaking that I'm doing in the actual painted pieces. So I'm going to turn my camera and chat with you all for a quick minute and see if I have any other questions. But hopefully you picked up some fun ideas and techniques. And I really do think that this is two paintings. One thing I love about the inks that and paints that I make, so you can really see the variation in the actual paint as it dries. So you can see some of the pinks and the blues that are inside there. It's one of the things that I love creating when I make these paints. Okay, let me swap out to my other camera towards me, and I'll be right back. shoot. I'm so sorry. I've been talking for like the last 5 minutes. I'm so sorry, everybody. I just saw your questions. Oh my gosh. I totally have been talking and I forgot to switch it to the camera. I totally like lost train of thought. So I was saying, and I think I've probably been talking for like at least 5 minutes. Can you all see me now? Oh, I'm out of it today. It looks like some of you are still there, so just let me know. Cheryl. Hi, Cheryl. Yeah, thank you. I wish that I would have looked sooner. So I have just been talking about, and I said some really good things about creative process too, which totally did not get recorded, I think, because I had it on the picture. Okay, so I was saying that if you are interested in the class, just make sure to register before this weekend because the price is at the early bird price. But I was talking about I was talking about so much stuff. Oh, I'm so bummed. Just for like the last 5 minutes, I've been talking to myself. Oh, great. Okay. Let's see. So I was saying that hopefully today you picked up some ideas and techniques of how you can work digitally and traditionally together and really use your work in your digital art journal to kind of help you through the creative process and help guide you in painting larger. So I was talking about how I start the projects in, that small kind of thumbnail and really bring it up to a bigger piece. And one of the things that I was talking about and going on for like 5 minutes was how this one big piece back here was created. So I started small with multiple papers and art journals. So one of the things that I work on in my process is working on multiple pieces at once. So I may have my iPad out, I may have like a bunch of papers and journals and a piece of a canvas on my wall. And then I work on multiple pieces at once because it really helps me stay fresh and loose and not focused on just one piece. And I find that that's one of the problems that I think a lot of artists run into is like they get that creative block because you're working on one piece and you're like, okay, what should I do next? Whereas if you do work on multiple pieces at once, then you can kind of rotate things and you can put a little bit of mark on one and a little bit of marks on another. And that just keeps you moving and keeps your mind fresh and flowing. And then you can take, step back and look at a few pieces and really dive into maybe 2 or 3 that are looking like that's the direction you want to go. And then work in more detail on some of those other pieces. And so doing that pre-work where you're doing kind of the just ideas and sketching, out some of the thumbnails, I think is key to anybody's creative process because it does help you get all those ideas out and it helps you think about other things you might not have thought about when it comes to painting. Like an idea might pop up in your head, a motif that you want to work with. So trying to get those down into your sketchbook or your art journal is going to help you build out your canvases, your larger pieces that you're working on. And while I sketch and do paintings in my art journals and sketchbooks, I don't replicate them exactly. Like you saw what I did today. I just took kind of that idea of what I had done digitally and started playing with it traditionally. And I'm not trying to make every single mark the same. I am, letting the creative process flow. So I hope that you enjoyed today and got a lot out of it. I was also saying that this week I'll be doing a couple more live events, and hopefully you'll join me for those. I've got a live presentation tomorrow where I'll be showing you my inspiration sketchbook, a few pages, and talking about how I use both the iPad and show some of my art journals too, for a daily creative practice. And if you want to know more about the modules, definitely look at yesterday's live stream and look at the emails that went out. I listed everything in there. But the last point I'll make, and then I'll look at the questions, is that the price of the class is definitely something that you can recoup if you choose to sell your work. And one of the things that I want you to know is that if you even sold, you had a product for $20 and a digital product for $20 and you sold 25, 26 of them, that will pay for your class. So when you think about that and the value that you'll be getting and what you'll be able to create and build after the class, it's definitely well worth it, especially because there's no other class that's like this online. There is a lot of Procreate classes. There are a lot of mixed media classes, but there aren't a lot that focus in on teaching you how to take your mixed media art and turn it into digital products. And it's something that I've done for the last over 15 years. I've been selling my digital products online. So I'm excited to share with you more on how you can do that. One of the things that is going to be part of that art to digital products class is that you will be able to share with me your work. If you have an Instagram, I'll take a look at your Instagram and see what I and tell you what I see and how you can turn some of those things into digital products. And that's what I'm most excited about. It's something that I have a passion for. I love figuring out and helping artists turn their work into something that they can sell. And I believe that everybody can sell their art in some fashion. A lot of us don't go down the gallery route. I've been very successful over the last, almost 20 years selling my work outside of a gallery and turning it into not only digital products, but physical products. So in that art to digital products class, we will be diving into helping you create a plan, looking at kind of not only your art, but what your passion is, what your experience is, because there's a lot outside of your art world that you can bring into it to create digital product. And so we're going to start there, and then you'll learn the basics of how you can take your art and turn it into different types of digital products. You'll learn about delivery systems and how you can sell them. And we'll talk a little bit about building your audience and promoting your work online using Instagram. So if you're interested in kind of really being serious about selling your work in this fashion, which I think everybody nowadays can do, and it's something that is so easy to do because we have the internet, I encourage you to upgrade and sign up for the bundle. And for those of you who already have joined me, I'm super excited. We will dive in and start with a kickoff orientation on the 2nd of April, and I will be sending you more details and the schedule next week. And it's delivered both in live video like this, so it'll be like this through Wirecast, because I'm not going to I'm going to make sure that our picture is not fuzzy, but we will have opportunities. You'll have opportunities to actually come on screen with me. So those will probably, hopefully, as long as Crowdcast's platform is, if they fix that fuzzy bug as they told me they would, I'm going to use Crowdcast for that. If not, we'll switch those Q&A strategy kind of calls to Zoom, and that way everybody can be online and I can actually see your beautiful faces. That's one of the things I love about teaching online and being able to do it live, is to actually interact with you all, not only through chat, but actually bringing you up on screen. And don't be scared. You don't have to be on screen if you don't want to, but I find that you really grow in your artistic journey if you have the opportunity to talk face to face with other artists, not only me, but other people in our community. So there is also a private forum that you have access to, and a lot of other bonuses and goodies that I'm so excited to share with you throughout the program. So I hope that some of you will stick with me and join me. And if not, this whole series that I'm sharing is available until next Wednesday, and you can rewatch it as much as you'd like. And definitely, hopefully you pick up a lot more information in it. Let me just answer. I see a couple of questions on here. Susan asked, let's see, Elaine, I answered the printer question a little bit back. So it's an HP LaserJet, and I read out the actual number. So I got it at where is it? At Best Buy. So if you're in the States, they have it at Best Buy, and I believe they do have it on Amazon. But it was cheaper it was cheaper on Amazon, and Best Buy will match Amazon prices as long as it is shipped and sold by Amazon. So good tip if you want to go there. I'm always making sure I find the lowest price for anything that I'm buying. So definitely ask them if you do purchase it there at Best Buy. Let's see. Susan asked, where did you get the nifty divided square dish palette? Is that the one that this one that you're talking about? So here in California, and actually throughout, I know there's one in Seattle, one in Dallas. It's called Daiso. It's a Japanese $1.50 store. Most things are $1.50. There's some stuff that's like $3, but they have awesome dishes and plates and mugs, and actually it's like a shoyu dish. It's for soy sauce, like for teriyaki and like soy sauce, and I use it as a paint palette. Anything that has like a dip in it will turn into a paint palette in my world. Let's see. And then Diane asked, can I still get the bundle price if I add the products course? After listening to you, I want to add it. Yes, you can. So Diane, email me and I will send you an invoice for the difference in the cost, and then you will be all set. And all you have to do, you'll get an invoice via email. And all you have to do is, once you pay for it, that will upgrade you to the class. And that's a great question. So anybody else who only bought the online program and you feel like you want to upgrade, just send me an email and I'll get it taken care of and send you the invoice. And for those of you who may think, I also got the question about, can we add this on later? And yes, you can add it on later, but it will be full price. So if you want to take advantage of the lower cost, definitely add it on, upgrade your bundle now. And there are two options. So I know it is a big chunk of change, but there is also a payment plan. So if that will help you also, then there is a 4-payment plan for the bundle. So I think that's all the questions today. And thanks everybody for sticking around through my 5 minutes of talking to myself. That's so funny. I totally forgot to switch the camera back. So hopefully I think I covered everything that I had said, kind of more condensed when I came back on camera. So I will hopefully see some of you tomorrow, and also in class. So again, I will be sending out class information next week, so you haven't missed anything at all. We don't actually start class until April, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm not sure when I will teach it again, so definitely you'll want to join now. We are almost full for the upgrade, so I'm thinking that maybe I don't know. We'll see if it'll fill by this weekend, but. One of the reasons why is I really want to be able to give you all kind of one-on-one advice if you'd like it. So that's going to take time to actually look through some of your work and things like that. So think about if you want to join. The early bird price goes up on Monday, and I'll send out a reminder too. And I'll be online a few more times this week coming up. So you can see the schedule that I have so far. I may add another couple of things in there, so make sure that you check back. And anytime I go live or put something new in the pop-up experience, I will send out a quick message. So it'll usually come from Crowdcast because I send it right through Crowdcast, so it'll tell you that it is available. Okay, everybody, we'll have a great weekend. I hope you stay warm and dry wherever you are. We have a little bit of rain here in California. And I'm super excited to have you all join me. And I will see you all later. Okay, have a great day. Bye.